Hi, this is Brian from Denmark, your tech friend, and this is a comparison of the Google Pixel 6 and the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3. Let's start off by talking about pricing. I know this is a $1,000 device in the US and this is a $600 device. But let's compare anyhow, because if you buy this second hand, here in Denmark at least, you can get these two phones for around the same price. So let's compare. Let's start off by looking at the design of these two phones. Design is also how it works, as Steve Jobs would have said. But I think both of these phones are really brilliantly designed. What I really like about the Pixel is that you have volume up down rocker very close to the button of the phone, so it's an easy reach. Unfortunately, it's pretty slippery, so you are gonna want to buy a cover for this phone. And then you have a stereo speaker setup. Let's compare them. The Z Flip is actually quite a bit taller, but also a little more narrow, and of course it flips. There's no doubt in my mind both of these phones are design jewels. What is a bit of an annoyance on this phone is actually not the crease, because you get used to that within a couple of days, couple of hours actually. But this side mounted fingerprint button is good and the volume button is good. But the problem is that they're not on the button of the flip phone, because that's the place you always have in reach. So if you just put like volume up down here, perhaps the power on off over here, then you could actually reach it when you have like the most typical use with your hands of this device. Of course, the Z Flip Fold also besides flip it, and I can't do the one-handed flip. Let me just show it to you. Just press your finger, if you have a fingernail, right in at the button down here, and then you flip. Okay, let me just show you that again. Press the finger or your fingernail down at the button here, and then flip. That's how you do the one-handed flip. Of course, it has this notification screen on the outside, and everybody makes it like look pretty and makes it do stuff like it is something, but I never use it because I just think it's stupid. It's so small. If they want to have me use the outer screen on this phone like this, you gotta cover the entire one. And that's what I think they will do on the Z Flip 4. That will cover the entire screen here, and then I will buy it and have it as my main driver, no doubt about it. Another difference these two phones have is face recognition. This one, I look at it and then it's open. And the Google Pixel is having none of that. Also the Z Flip has fingerprint authentication on the side. I love it, whereas this has none of that. So actually the Google is a more cumbersome phone to get into and open in everyday use. And as you probably know, and you can possibly tell, the Google Pixel of course launched with Android 12, whereas the Z Flip still is on this Android 11. But this one, as you're watching this video, it should be right on the steps, because it is rumored to get the Android 12 here in December 2021. And this is, by the way, how these top menus look, and therefore you can see the Pixel has this kind of scrolling text to the buttons, which is most annoying, as Samsung is more traditional with just some smaller text, so you can actually see what button functions there are, and not the annoying Pixel thing, right? And that leads us to the screens of these two phones. These two phone screens, this one is a 90 Hz. The Pixel has a 90 Hz screen refresh rate, and it comes up to about this brightness. And let's just compare with the Z Flip that has 1200 nits of brightness. And when I will turn both of them up to the maximum, you probably can't tell that much here. Okay, now we're at max brightness of both of these phones. So this should be the 600 and I think it was 48 nits of brightness versus the 1200 nits of brightness. Where this is really going to come into effect is if you're in outdoors in the clear sunlight, then the Samsung will do you much better. And that leads us to gaming on these two devices. The Pixel 6 and the Z Flip actually score very evenly here on the Geekbench, as you can tell. And it almost looks like it was the same processor. But much more telling is in this 3D Mark stress test, where you can see the Google Pixel drops to under half of its power during intensive GPU stress. It's over a 20-minute period running 20 cycles, so it pushes the GPU performance. Whereas you can see the Z Flip performs much better. Also, another you really want to look out for in this comparison is always the stability score, and it's terrible on the Pixel. Here you can see the battery draining during the test, and you can see some FPS, but what you really want to look out for is how warm these devices become. Because this one, the Google Pixel 6, when playing PUBG on this one, first very critical thing was that the screen actually became semi-non-responsive. It didn't like register all of my touches when I moved, and you don't want to have like a screen that's not responsive when you play PUBG. That is just insane, and I think it's due to it becoming so hot as it did. Because around the camera module as usual, but also at the sides of this phone, it became very hot, almost so you couldn't touch it. So it heated itself up, and then the screen became somewhat unresponsive when playing these kind of first-person shooters as PUBG. And that's a major bummer. Whereas this one is actually a brilliant gaming experience also. So brilliant, and kudos to the Z3 Flip, only reaching, according to this test, 33 degrees Celsius, and that's like way below your body temperature, so there's no problems with that. That will just feel warm to the touch. And what about sound on these two devices? Let's listen to the Google Pixel 6 first. So this was the maximum level. But in here, but I'll come back to that but. Let's just have a quick listen to the Z3 Flip also. Okay, as you can probably tell, the sound is louder on the Z3 Flip, and it's also more immersive. And that's because, I think it's because the speakers are just that little more apart, so that makes it just a little bit better in my opinion. And that said, back to the but about this Pixel, I've actually installed an equalizer just to make this sound somewhat better, because it doesn't come with an equalizer in the phone itself in the settings. So I've installed this equalizer just to, you know, try to make the sound of this phone a wee bit better. Let's just have a quick listen to the same music without the equalizer on. Okay, so now the equalizer is off. Hey, so now it's become more punchy and bright. But the thing is, not better. The Z3 Flip just has a more balanced and full spectrum sound. Now what about the cameras? So in my opinion, the Z3 Flip also does the better job. Of course, this Pixel Google 6 has this removing a character or something you don't like in the picture really quick and easy. But still, the Samsung just shoots the better picture and more consistent. Okay, so now this is with the super stabilization on both of these phones. I'm working with both of these phones handheld. And let's just try and move the cameras just a little bit more around. What do you think about the audio? And now it's the selfie camera on both of these phones. Please keep in mind that I'll probably switch these two places, because I'm constantly holding the Pixel in the left hand, and now it's got the Samsung in the right hand. For me, my perspective. So how do you think about stabilization now? A cool thing you can do with the Galaxy Z Flip is you can double press the side button here, and then it opens the camera. If I hold up my hand, it will take a photo of me, and I can change that exact same shot to the ultra wide. I can also swipe to the right or to the left, and now I'm shooting a video, and it films in a square. So let's just film in this ultra wide, and we'll walk around while filming. So now you will be able to see this exact shot that I'm filming with the Z Flip 3. Okay, and just a fun shoot I'm gonna do now. Look at this, by the way. I'm shooting with the Z Flip 3. When you just like semi-flip it, it can stand on its own, and now I can use the flip to film the shot I'm gonna do with my Pixel of these two guys. Hey, so let's do the shot I was intended to do with my Pixel. And the trick, of course, I want to show you is how I can now take a picture. Let's just try to remove one of them. Think about it, and there it's gone. You can actually still see its shadow on the windowsill where it was. And just a quick side note to the Pixel. Now that I've been walking around just in my apartment filming quite a few things, it already gets very hot up here around the camera, whereas on the Z Flip 3 it doesn't get hot at all. And what about battery life? If you have any concerns about these two phones, well, you shouldn't have, because I made this extensive comparison, as you can see right now. Okay, so both phones are at 100% in the battery life, and we'll start right now by pulling out the cords and then just watching endless amounts of 4K videos and perhaps playing. Let's do this.
Husk, når du handler for 200 kroner eller derover, får du et juleskrabelod med op til 50%.
After 9 hours of YouTube streaming, let's just do this 3D Mark stress test. It's a stress test that runs 20 cycles. I'll tell you more about it when it's done. I've still all the way full brightness, right? So let's do this. The frame rate is somewhat faster on the Pixel, but it's jumping up now. Let's see, this is loop 1 of 20. Okay, I've just flipped them a bit. It's the Z Flip on the top and the Pixel on the bottom. And now both phones have finished the wildlife stress test. Let's just have a feel, because one thing you cannot tell from stress tests is how warm it gets. And this is very warm. I can just hold on to it. This is around 35, perhaps closing in on 40 degrees on the back side, and that's the Pixel. And then let's try the Z Flip 3. Where it's warm is on the top half, and always on phones it's up around the camera. This time it's actually just below. I would say this is like 30 to 35 degrees right now. Okay, so now we've reached 10 hours of screen on time, and that included YouTube playback and also the stress test, 3D Mark stress test. And we're down to 12% on the Z Flip and 35% on the Pixel 6. So let's see how much further they can go. So now we've run 11 hours of screen on time on the Pixel 6 and the Z3 Flip. So let's see how much. They've come down to 6% and the Pixel 29%. So you can surely safely say that these will be good enough for YouTube streaming, as well as I did that 3D stress mark graphics test. So now we're closing in on 11.5 hours, and both phones are still running this playback on YouTube test. We're down to 3% on the Z Flip, and we're down to 26% on the Pixel. And I end this test now because I gotta go to bed. That's for certain enough playback time for YouTube video watching to fit anybody. So in terms of battery life, it is of course the Google Pixel 6 that wins this one. And now for the conclusion. If you go for longevity, software updates and battery life, that's no doubt in my mind, you should go for the Google Pixel 6. And I would say, like, if almost anything else is of importance to you, then you should definitely try out the Samsung Galaxy Z3 Flip. Let me just show you some cool tricks it can do at this very end. If you watch YouTube, you can have the actual movie on the top and then the text down here where you can slide. You can comment and do other stuff that is so brilliantly cool, and you of course can sit it on something. Another cool trick that doesn't say anywhere is that if you flip it horizontally, you can actually have it standing on its own, and you can watch whatever videos on YouTube you would like to, because it just flips this tiny wee bit, and that's enough to make it stand on its own. If you want to go with the fashion statement, something fun, something that put a smile on your face and tons of envious looks, then of course you should go for the Samsung Galaxy Z3 Flip. And let's not also forget, it is an excellent phone. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Brian from Denmark, your tech friend, and I'll see you in the next one.